closing down the fields for the winter.
Hi
So we did
everyone,
stuff
I'm
out in the fields,
live.
closing it down.
Please welcome
The rest of the time, because they have a farm
crime and
store,
justice.
He did not, he was not requesting redactions of those things at this time. And so I did just want to put that on the record, because if I see a stop sign in the horizon, I want to try to stop for it. That's what I noticed in my review, and I did just want to put that on the record so that, everyone understands.
Thank you. Attorney Schoenholm.
Well, there's a number of things to unpack here. Let me just talk about where I agree with Mr. McGinnis and what he just said. We understand there are issues that are things that I raised and deal with issues either that were parts of motions to suppress, including the ones that the court granted, as well as the use of certain terminology. So, for example, the fact that the witness during the interview uses the pejorative term alibi script. I'm not asking the state to edit out that comment, because I think the answer is a response to that pejorative statement. My concern had been that the witnesses here refer to it. It was done for media consumption, and they still use that in the media. So there's nothing I can do about that. So that with regard to things like the fact that her phone had been seized and whatnot, if I have to, or if I want to, I'll deal with that in cross-examination. Part of the problem, though, from the way I just heard it yesterday, I was told that the state was going to go from the first interview to the second one 4 days later. In my cross-examination, I'm not in any position to cross-examine based on a part of this interview, because it continued 4 days later, clarified 4 days later, and my cross depends upon things that were clarified that next day. So it's nice of Mr. McGinnis to suggest that halfway through what I consider one continuous interrogation that took place on 2 different days, one while she's in custody and one while it's not. Not only am I not in any position to cross-examine just on the first part of it, except as to, I mean, there's 5 or 10 minutes of stuff that I could do that I'm ready for, but the rest of it would require the context of the contents of what happened 4 days later, where there's some clarification of what was said on June 2nd after she was not in custody. So I would say that the idea that I have to break up my cross-examination just because the state now, the first time, is telling me, no, they're only going to play the first one and then I can cross-examine, when that's, aside from the fact that that's just completely unfair. And as I said, we were told they were going to play at least the first 2. I was prepared to wait on the third one in August because there's certainly a break between June and she comes in for a third interview when they know more. But to suggest that I have to cross-examine on what was said on this one tape, then to have to cross-examine just about what was on the second one, I will reserve my cross at least after Detective Kimball finishes his direct on those matters. So, but Mr. McGinnis is correct on the other aspects. There are things in the video which I could have at least argued should be redacted, but some of them, such as, I'll give the court a perfect example. At one point, now Officer Kimball, I guess he's now a Westport police officer, shows a picture to one of the pictures, I assume, that has not yet been shown. I'll note it's not even in evidence yet, so I could object on foundational grounds. Shows pictures of Pavel Gumieni's truck and asks questions about it. And if I recall correctly, again, I don't have my notes out because he just brought this up now. I just assumed we were going to sit down and start playing videos. But at one point in the video, now Officer Kimball, or perhaps it's one of the other detectives, maybe it's Cat Clabby, says, you see this glowing right here? This is evidence. He says, this is luminol. It shows blood. This is blood on the door of the Tacoma. And whose blood is that? And you see my client shrug and go, Jennifer's, in that respect. So obviously, let's be clear, it wasn't blood. One of the reasons I've been objecting to luminol coming in at all because of the Moody case is the idea it's misleading that this jury is going to think it is blood. Here is this officer telling Ms. Troconis that is blood and assuming it's Jennifer's blood, when in fact it's not even an organic substance. It was tested, it's not blood, it has no DNA whatsoever. And as far as, you know, once you see these pictures of this truck, you can tell it's rust. But be that as it may, I'm allowing that in so that I would then, at the appropriate point, cross-examine on it if the court had kept out the luminol discussion at all and the Castlemeyer. I might be asking for something different, but in light of it coming in, I would want to be able to indicate and cross-examine that this witness even knows that eventually, that what they knew that it had no DNA in it and therefore was not blood. I'm putting that on the record because I don't want anyone to suggest that I'm waiving an issue. I'm preserving it only in the sense the court's made certain rulings and I have to adjust based on those rulings. Therefore, I'm not going to ask for any redactions, that the whole thing can just be played. But I'm not going to agree that I have to cross-examine on part of what was said, and then, because under the rule of completeness, I believe those two interrogations should be played through the same, they're going to be played through the same witness, but should be played together, and I would insist that that happens, and then I'd be prepared to cross-examine on it. Otherwise, it's just not fair.
Attorney McGinnis.
Yes, Judge. So just a couple of things, because we went around the block several times there. So it sounds like there's an agreement that there's not going to be any redactions. What I am concerned about, though, is something that was raised that Attorney Schoenhorn wants to deal with the issue of the cell phone being seized on cross-examination. I'm hearing that for the first time. So if he's intending on saying, isn't it true that Judge Randolph suppressed this evidence, I don't think that that's appropriate cross-examination. You can't be using these things as shields and swords to try to make the police look bad. So if that's where he's intending on going with the cross-examination, I just want to say that I don't think that's appropriate. With respect to the specific issue, yes, we did indicate yesterday it was our intention to play both videos at the same time or consecutively. However, upon reflection, which is why we don't want to get into the trap of always previewing our evidence, we're mindful of the stamina of this jury and the fact that this is going to be a lot of video to watch. And so we are electing to play the second interview on a different day, which is 3.5 hours in and of itself. I don't think that the rule of completeness frankly applies. Obviously, Attorney Schoenhorn can ask questions that are within the scope of direct examination. And so if something was said during the first interview that he believes was clarified in the second interview, we can take that up on a case-by-case basis as to whether or not it's within the scope of direct examination. But I don't think that there's any rule requiring us to play both interviews consecutively at this point that I'm aware of. The rule of completeness really deals with introducing one part of a particular statement and omitting the rest. It doesn't have to do with introducing a 2-hour and 45-minute interview and then introducing a 3.5-hour interview subsequently.
So the court wants to make sure it understands what the concern is. Is the concern that the interviews will be played on different days but consecutive days, or that the interviews are not going to be played on consecutive days?
Is that a question?
For either counsel. So in other words, well, the court should ask Attorney Schoenhorn. Attorney Schoenhorn, is the concern that the interviews on, let's call them day 1 and day 2, aren't running all today, or that one is running today and one is running next week? So the court does not understand how the presentation is going to go in.
The latter concern. Now, I'll just note, we asked each one of those jurors about the idea of maybe having to sit like for a whole day and with breaks and watching video. So I just want to allay whatever concern is being raised that, well, we don't want the jury to have to watch a whole day of video. I mean, the jury spent whole days looking at pictures. I don't know what the distinction is here between looking at pictures and watching videos. My concern, I want to be clear, is a lot of the things that come up in the first video are clarified and made clear in the second one. I just don't want to have to cross-examine about things that the next day or the next hour will be made clear, and that I'm not going to ask questions about it because it will have been clarified. That's the concern. It goes to the, I get that the court has said they can call witnesses back as many times as they want, and they don't have to tell me that they're doing that. And the court has also indicated I only get 24, I get at evening before notice of who's coming the next day, requiring me to do preparation the night before. But I am not prepared to change my cross-examination based on the fact that, well, we're going to stop midway through the testimony and then you can cross-examine and then we'll continue. When I would say that goes directly to and interfering with my right to cross-examine a witness who's testifying about a subject. Same thing with when we had the DNA expert. There were things that I would want to bring out, but because they decided to divide her testimony, again, highly unusual to just call back experts about different items, because some of my cross would end up being, I think, redundant for that reason. However, I've adjusted to that as well. I can move, whatever I have to do that. I'm just not, I don't think it's fair, nor do I think it's reasonable that I should then, at the stopping after the first day of recording, say now I can cross-examine. The state doesn't want to play the whole thing, wants to, if they want to break early or whatever, or put on some other evidence that doesn't necessarily even require a witness. I don't care about that. I just don't, I want to reserve my cross-examination until Mr. Kimball, Officer Kimball, has finished the two, because some things he said, for example, he corrected the next day. I mean, he admitted I may have been wrong about something that I said a couple of days ago, and I don't want to have to cross-examine him about it. The jury shouldn't have to wait to hear him then say I was wrong or I was incorrect about something, and I'll admit it. So that's my concern with having to break up the witness's cross-examination, which is basically on the same subject. My client gave hours of interviews, and I'm not even requiring the August one. Now, just briefly with regard to the other statement.
Well, before you proceed.
Yeah.
The court just wants to indicate what it, at this time, sees as a concern. If this were a 3-page statement by the defendant, and there had been a motion to suppress, the motion was denied, it probably would not have been countenanced that the state could present page 1 and then call a couple of witnesses, and then 2 or 3 days later, call back the officer who took the statement and direct an examination concerning pages 2 and 3. And this is the analogy that the court is drawing to Attorney Schoenhorn's concern. As a practical matter, as defense counsel, of course, the jury is paying, in this court's view, very meticulous and close attention to the evidence. If Attorney Schoenhorn were to wait and not cross-examine the witness concerning something that is clarified later, the jury would probably come to some conclusions about the reason he didn't cross-examine. The state has the right to present the case as the state decides to present the case, but at a certain point, the balance tips. This is an irregular and unusual circumstance. The court is not so much concerned that Attorney Schoenhorn will have to be put to the task. The court is concerned that the nature of the defense changes and becomes somewhat diluted if the statement goes in not on consecutive days. Again, the example in which all counsel have had experience. Never does a statement come in where there's direct examination on page 1 concerning page 1 and 3 days later, pages 2 and 3. So the court is inclined, in the interest of justice and fairness, the defendant has a right to present a defense, but the defense cannot bear the burden of being truncated in such a way that it becomes diluted. So the court's determination in this matter is that the statements have to run consecutively.
That's fine, Judge. We can address the other matter, though, which is...
Let me just interrupt. I have no intention of bringing up that the court ruled on a motion. I am fully apprised and I'm fully cognizant of the fact that the jury doesn't decide legal issues. So that would not be a question I would ask.
Well, the court would give an instruction if it did come out in any event. Attorney McGinnis.
Well, that was what I wanted to be heard on, Judge, is that, I mean, obviously, the Fourth Amendment exists to protect defendants. They shouldn't be able to weaponize the Fourth Amendment, in a way to try to make the police essentially look bad by saying you did something unconstitutional, especially when the judge that ruled it was unconstitutional is presiding over this case. My concern is that it would give the impression to the jury that this court has in some way prejudged the investigation. And so that's why I don't think that that's appropriate, but it sounds like Attorney Schoenhorn isn't planning on going there, so perhaps we don't have to address it any further.
And if it slips out, the court is going to give the jury an instruction. Hopefully it will not slip out. Is there anything else?
No, Judge. We do have Detective Kimball here.
Oh, and the court's last question is, during the course of the video, do you intend, Attorney McGinnis, to stop the video and direct an examination, or do you intend just to let the video run and then direct an examination?
I will be stopping it at various times and asking questions. Not, all the time, but occasionally.
Thank you. The court is trying to determine, well, the jury already knows from the voir dire process that there will be long stretches of video. So the court is not going to indicate to the jury that you're about to watch long stretches of video. So we'll just take our breaks when we take our breaks. Okay. Shall we bring the jury in?
Yes, sir. Yes. Oh, that's gonna break. It's Johnson asking for this.
Would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, Judge. Yes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Attorney McGinnis, are you prepared to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. State calls Detective John Kimball.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do, yes.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
John Kimball, last name, the first name is J-O-H-N, last name is K-I-M-B-A-L-L.
And your affiliation?
No, I'm sorry. Connecticut State Police, correct?
Retired, yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And you may be seated, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Detective Kimball, good morning.
Morning, sir.
I'm referring to you as Detective Kimball, but you're not in fact Detective Kimball anymore. Is that correct?
That is correct.
By whom are you currently employed?
Currently employed by Westport Police Department.
What role do you have at the Westport Police Department?
I'm a police officer on patrol
How long have you been employed with the Westport Police Department?
since October 24th of 2022.
And prior to becoming a Westport police officer, you worked for the Connecticut State Police, is that right?
Yes, I did.
And can you just indicate to the jury what year you began working for the Connecticut State Police?
I began 1998 with Connecticut State Police.
Prior to working for the Connecticut State Police, had you worked for any other law enforcement agencies?
Yes,
Which agency was that?
Orange Police in Connecticut.
What year did you work for the Orange Police Department?
I started in 1994,
And how long did you work there for?
approximately 5 years.
And so you then became a Connecticut State Trooper, is that correct?
That's correct.
Would you mind just telling the jury a little bit about your career path with the Connecticut State Police?
So I went to the Connecticut State Police Academy, and I entered, when I graduated, I went to Troop A as a patrol trooper. I was a trooper trainee, trooper. I was a resident trooper for approximately 2 years up in New Fairfield. And I reached I then went into major crime in 2009, excuse me. And I worked first in up in Canaan, Troop B, and then I worked down in Bridgeport, Troop G. Worked there until I was promoted to sergeant, and I then went to IA, and then I went to Chief of Staff for Lieutenant Colonel Jack McAlpis.
And is that where you finished your career as Chief of Staff?
That's correct.
In May of 2019, were you a detective with the Major Crimes Unit?
Yes, I was.
And were you working out of Troop G?
I was, yes.
And since you were a detective at the time, is it all right if I refer to you as detective during the direct examination?
Yes.
Troop G covers what areas of Connecticut?
Troop G is in Western District, so realistically, we cover anything on the west third of the state of Connecticut, from the Massachusetts border down to New York, primarily Fairfield County area.
Does that include the town of New Canaan?
It does, yes.
Did you become involved in the case of the missing person by the name of Jennifer Dulos?
Yes, I did.
What date did you become involved with this case?
The 25th of May, 2019.
How did you become involved with this case?
We received a call out from my Sergeant Ken Ventresca that there was a missing person, and we responded down to New Canaan.
What was the initial role that the Connecticut State Police was with the New Canaan Police Department?
Our initial role was as an assist to New Canaan Police for the missing person.
Did that role evolve over time?
Yes, it did.
How did it evolve?
Eventually, we were cast as the primary investigative agency. So basically, New Canaan and the state police swapped roles. New Canaan was still involved, but the state police took the lead on the investigation.
And were you in fact the lead case officer on behalf of the Connecticut State Police?
Yes,
How did you become assigned as the lead case officer?
I was assigned that by Sergeant Ken Ventresca, my supervisor.
I'd like to talk to you now about May 25th, 2019. You indicated that that was the date that you became involved with the case.
Yes.
Where did you respond that day?
I responded down to 69 Wells Lane in New Canaan.
And was that where you initially responded?
Yes.
And when you arrived at 69 Wells Lane, what did you do?
I met with Officer Tom Patton from the New Canaan Police Department, and I spoke to some of our personnel from the van that were already on scene.
And did you observe anything inside of 69 Wells Lane?
Yes, I did.
What did you observe, sir?
I observed what appeared to be some blood-like stains and on the floor of the garage. I didn't take a close look.
Did you also respond to the New Canaan Police Department that day?
Yes, I did.
Approximately what time?
Probably around, I don't know what time.
Was there a command post at the New Canaan Police Department?
Yes, that's where we established our command post.
And would it be fair to say that there were numerous law enforcement personnel working out of that command post?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, can you explain to the jury as the lead case officer what your responsibilities are?
So I would be responsible for the overall case. That does not mean I do every interview or write every report, but I'm essentially the conduit through which, along with my supervisor, Sergeant Ken Ventresca, the information flows, and I would be responsible for the overall investigation of the case.
And when you say you're responsible for where the information flows, is information being relayed to you by law enforcement personnel?
Yes, that's correct.
And during the course of the investigation, was a person of interest developed as potentially being involved in the disappearance of Jennifer Dulos?
Yes.
Who was that?
Fotis Dulos, her strange husband.
And did you and fellow law enforcement personnel begin to, for lack of a better term, research Mr. Dulos?
Yes, we did.
Did you learn whether or not he was the owner of a particular company?
Yes, we did.
What company was that?
He was the owner of a construction company you referred to, named the Ford Group.
You mentioned that he was the owner of a construction company. Did that construction company develop houses?
Yes,
And did you become aware of whether or not Mr. Dulos owned several properties in the Farmington and Avon area of Connecticut?
yes.
Do you recall those properties?
They would include
Your Honor,
585.
now, I allowed some preliminary, I didn't object, it is all leading and now it's hearsay, so I'm not sure this witness's testimony of what he learned, what others learned is relevant or not hearsay, and since this testimony has come out, I'm just objecting on that basis before we go too far.
Well, the question was, do you know what those properties were? And through investigation, this was the lead investigative officer on the case. So investigation leads to certain information. The court is going to overrule the objection.
And I did just want to indicate, Judge, that I'm going to be asking a series of questions along those lines, not offering any of this for the truth at this time, but as the court knows, we're about to get to an interview and all of this information informs the interview. And so that's why I'm asking these questions. So I'd ask for some leeway.
You can proceed.
Do you recall the addresses?
Yes, I do. I remember some of the addresses. There was the residence at 4 Jefferson Crossing where Mr. Dulos resided. There was 80 Mountain Spring Road. There was 84 and 88 Mountain Spring Road, which are parcels north of 80. There were some parcels, some land on Old Mountain Road, which is a road that connects Eli Road and Mountain Spring Road. And another address is 585 Deer Cliff, which is very close to 4 Jefferson Crossing.
You mentioned that Mr. Dulos lived at 4 Jefferson Crossing. Were you aware of whether or not he lived with anyone at 4 Jefferson Crossing?
Yes,
Who did he live with?
he lived with the defendant, Michelle Troconis,
Did he live with anyone else?
Michelle's juvenile daughter.
And do you see Ms. Troconis in the courtroom today?
I do, the defendant.
Okay, and you're indicating to your right, can you just indicate what type of shirt she has on?
She has a beige long sleeve shirt.
Judge, he identified the defendant.
Thank you.
Now, you mentioned that Mr. Dulos became a person of interest. Were you present at the police department on May 25th, 2019 when he arrived?
Yes, I was.
Do you recall where you were located?
I was in the command post, which is on the 2nd floor of New Canaan Police.
And at some point, did you become aware that Mr. Dulos' cellular phone had been seized?
Yes, I did.
Do you know who seized his phone?
That was seized by Connecticut State Police Detective Chris Allegro.
And did you become aware also of certain location data on the cellular phone?
Yes, yes, we did.
And specifically location data that placed his phone in the Hartford area on the evening of May 24th, 2019?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you speak to fellow troopers and detectives about something known as C4 surveillance footage, which had been seized and viewed out of the Hartford area?
Yes,
Did you personally review any surveillance footage?
I reviewed some of it, yes.
When you say some of it, I take it from your answer, you did not have an opportunity to review all of it?
That's correct, yes.
Did you also become aware during the investigation that certain clothing had been found in the trash on Albany Avenue in Hartford?
Yes, I did.
Based on that information, did you prepare search warrants for Mr. Dulos and the defendant's DNA, fingerprints, and full body photographs?
Yes.
What date was that, if you recall?
I don't remember the date that the warrant was signed. I know they were executed.
And to your knowledge, were those search warrants served on the defendant, Mr. Dulos?
Your Honor, I'm gonna object only that we just had a sidebar about getting into certain things, and now the state is opening the door to those questions about those issues, so I'm a little concerned.
That is a complete misstatement of our sidebar, Your Honor, and I'd like to be heard at sidebar on this.
Well, the question was the warrant served on Mr. Dulos?
I think, and my client.
Well, you can approach. You may pose another question, Attorney McGinnis.
Detective Kimball, were DNA samples taken from Mr. Dulos and the defendant?
Yes,
Were fingerprints taken from Mr. Dulos and the defendant?
yes,
And were full body photographs taken of Mr. Dulos and the defendant?
yes,
You mentioned that there was clothing which was found in Hartford. Was that clothing sent to the Connecticut State
Hi,
Forensic
Sean
Laboratory for
B.
DNA
Thank you
testing?
for joining
Yes, it
us,
was.
guys.
And did you receive the results?
yes, I did. Yes, we did.
What date did you receive the results?
June 1, 2019.
And based on those results, did you prepare an arrest warrant for Mr. Dulos and the defendant?
Yes,
Approximately what time and what date were those arrest warrants signed?
I know they were signed on June 1st, 2019. It would be in the evening. I don't know what time specifically.
What day of the week was June 1st, 2019?
I don't know.
Do you recall it being a weekend?
I believe so, yes.
And Judge, I would just ask the court to take judicial notice of the fact that June 1st was a Saturday.
Court will take judicial notice.
Prior to submitting the arrest warrant for the defendant, had you ever met her in person?
No,
Where were you on June 1st, 2019?
I would have been probably at the command post.
At some point, did the defendant arrive?
Yes,
And was she under arrest when she arrived?
yes, she was.
And when the defendant arrived at the police department, did you and Detective Corey Clavy greet her?
Yes,
And were arrangements made for the defendant's attorney, Andrew Bowman, to come to the police department the next day?
yes,
Well, Your Honor, I'm going to object because clarification. She didn't arrive on June 1st. She arrived,
Well,
On
this
June
is testimony,
2nd.
this is testimony. That's not an objection, counsel. That's testimony,
it's a mischaracterization of the evidence. Let me just object that.
counsel.
Let me clarify. She arrived in the early morning hours of June 2nd. Is that correct?
that is
It
correct.
was after midnight. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so you indicated that arrangements were made for attorney Andrew Bowman to come to the New Canaan Police Department the next day. Is that right?
Yes,
And at that point, did you leave the police department and go home?
yes.
Okay. And what was your purpose in going home?
Try to get a little bit of rest.
I want to direct your attention now to approximately 2:32 p.m. on June 2nd, 2019. Did the defendant agree to provide an interview?
Yes,
Was the defendant's attorney present for the interview?
yes,
And was this the first time you had met Andrew Bowman? That day?
yes.
I want to direct your attention now to the defendant, and specifically at approximately 2:32 in the afternoon on June 2nd. Could you describe her emotional condition for the jury?
She appeared, she did not exhibit that she was overly tired. She appeared in good shape. She did not appear under the influence of anything.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part of that answer.
She did not appear to be under the influence of anything.
When you were, firstly, did you personally speak with the defendant?
Yes,
And did you communicate with the defendant in English or Spanish?
in English.
Do you speak Spanish?
I do not.
Did the defendant ever request the assistance of an interpreter while you were speaking with her?
She did not.
Did Mr. Bowman ever request that an interpreter be present for the interview?
No,
Did you have any concerns about the defendant's ability to understand the English language as you spoke with her?
no,
You indicated that the defendant agreed to participate in an interview. Where did this interview take place?
at the New Canaan Police Department.
Which room at the New Canaan Police Department?
It was in an interview room.
Do you recall what floor of the police department?
I believe it would be the first floor, ground floor.
And when you say an interview room, can you describe that for the jury?
So it was a room, dimensions were approximately, and these are approximate, 12 feet by 18 feet, contained a table, a chair for myself, for Detective Clavy, for the defendant, and for Attorney Bowman. So 4 chairs, and it was monitored by audio and video.
And when you say monitored by audio and video, you mean it was recorded, correct?
Correct.
Wasn't just sort of streamed to another room, closed circuit. It was actually memorialized. Is that right?
That's correct.
Where was the defendant positioned during the interview?
She was seated in a chair next to the table in the, if you come in the door to the far left.
Where was the defendant's attorney, Mr. Bowman, positioned during the interview?
To her left, right next door.
Where were you positioned during the interview?
I was positioned opposite her
Hi,
on the table,
everyone.
adjacent to the door.
Were any other state police personnel present for the interview?
Detective Clavy, Corey Clavy.
And where was he positioned during the interview?
He was positioned to my right, in essentially in front of Attorney Bowman.
I want to talk to you now about your mindset going into this interview. Did you have any concerns for the defendant's safety on June 2nd, 2019?
I'm going to object. His subjective concerns are irrelevant.
I disagree.
Well, the objection is not relevant, counsel.
Well, Your Honor, again, it informs the course of the interview. It informs some of the things that were said, and it informs the defendant's responses to those things.
Well-
To my knowledge, that's none of that. So could I have a moment with counsel on this?
So, Your Honor, I just had a discussion with Attorney Schoenhorn, and we haven't really reached an agreement, so I think the court's going to have to rule.
The court understands that the question is asked to explain Detective Kimball's approach to the interview.
That's right.
What the court is going to do is just indicate that at this point, there's not a sufficient foundation for that question, but it is relevant. But there probably needs to be laid another or an additional foundation for that question.
Detective Kimball, had you become aware the night before that state police personnel had interacted with Mr. Dulos and the defendant?
Yes,
And at some point, was a concern raised to you by state law enforcement personnel regarding the safety of the defendant?
yes.
Who brought that to your attention?
I don't remember specifically.
What was the nature of the concern, if you recall?
Well, I think we have to find out who it was first. If he doesn't know, then
Well-
it just can't be vague.
Well, the fact that the detective became aware does not mean that he can't remember now that he became aware. It came from some source, but the relevant response is that he became aware somehow. So the fact that he does not remember who gave him the information is immaterial. Overruled.
You can answer the question.
I learned that the interaction between Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis on the evening of May 31st was concerning because Fotis Dulos was overly concerned with Michelle Troconis's statements and conduct, and was exhibiting behavior that was concerning. One thing was he was staring at her, and we don't know if it was an intimidation factor or if he was trying to message her in some way, but his physical behavior was concerning towards the defendant, Michelle Troconis.
And so based on that, did you have concerns for her safety when you interviewed her on June 2nd?
Yes,
In terms of your approach, were you also viewing the defendant as a potential witness?
yes.
Why were you viewing as your potential witness?
She
Well, again, I'm going to object. This is his subjective speculation as to now hearsay, foundation, and again, just lay opinion at this point.
Well, the court understands that the question is, why were you viewing her as a potential witness? As a reason to conduct the interview. So, overruled.
You may answer the question.
We were aware that she resided at Fort Jefferson with Mr. Dulos, and we had C4 video of the two of them together on Albany Avenue, where Mr. Dulos was depositing trash, which was eventually related back to Jennifer Dulos. So it was our belief that she had information on the case that was pertinent.
Prior to interviewing the defendant, did you read to her what are known as the Miranda rights?
Yes,
Are Miranda rights required to be given to an arrestee prior to questioning them?
Again, Your Honor, this is a legal question. The fact that it was given and is not required to get now into the legal explanation of why or whether it should be.
I'll withdraw it. Does the state police have forms in which Miranda rights are typed out in English and Spanish?
yes,
And did you read the defendant her Miranda rights in English or Spanish?
in English.
Did the defendant acknowledge that she understood her Miranda rights?
Yes.
How did she so acknowledge?
I asked her if she understood and she stated yes.
Did she also acknowledge her Miranda rights in writing?
Yes,
How did she do that?
by placing her initials along the notice of rights.
When you say notice of rights, there's an actual form that arrestees also fill out prior to speaking with the police. Is that correct?
Yes, and to correct myself, it was a signature for notice of rights. She signed her name.
Now, was this interaction captured on video?
Yes, it was.
And have you had a chance to review that video in advance of your testimony today?
Yes,
Now, the Miranda form itself, that has been misplaced. Is that right?
that is correct.
But the interaction with her signing the form is on tape.
That's correct.
May I have this marked, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes, sir. May I have this marked for identification?
Yes.
Actually, I think it could be marked as a full exhibit.
If I can just pull it up, I just make sure that my copy is the same. If I just have 30 seconds, please.
Yes.
I'm fine. No objection.
What's the exhibit number, please?
Judge, this is 77.
State 77 admitted as a full exhibit.
Permission to publish 77, Your Honor?
Yes.
Playing State 77. Sorry, Your Honor, if we just have one moment for the sound. Just pull up the file. You see, John. Those are this. They're not. No. Oh. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Got Sorry, Your Honor, Attorney Schoenhorn just wanted to ensure that there was nothing additional on the disc. There is not. And so I think we can begin playing it with sound. Yeah.
For the record, the screen looked like there were other things, but they're not actually on it, so.
Did you have that here? No. That's good. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. I understand, your side is difficult as well. So. Here's what this is. Yes. That's yours. Yes. We're going to be giving advice words
Detective Kimball, I'll just direct you to the screen behind you. And it may very well be apparent, but could you just identify who everyone is in the video for the jury?
Should I stand or
I'm sorry.
should I stand?
Yes, sir.
This is myself, Detective Corey Flavin. Seated is the defendant, Troconis, and standing to her left with the white shirt on is Attorney Andrew Ball.
Thank you, sir.
So show last night. So I'm just going to do it again right now. My name is John Campbell, and I work for the state police. I'm 45. So we're assisting the police department in this Okay. You're here with your attorney in your corner. Attorney Nolan's going to be able to sit with you the whole time. If you have a question that concerns you, we can stop. We can step out, or you can step out. However, we can have a consultation with your attorney. All right. You understand the audio for their cameras and stuff. So just because you are currently in custody and we want to talk to you, we have to go through what's known as notice of waiver of rights. So we'll review that with you also in Spanish. You want me to read English? I do not. No. Okay. All right. So I'll give any questions. The Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut require that I inform you of your rights as follows. You have the right to remain silent. You can talk to any police officer, anything you say can be used against you in court. We'll talk about that. You have the right to consult an attorney before you are questioned. You may have a lawyer with you during your question. Your lawyer is here. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you, or appointed for you if you wish before any question. If you wish to answer questions, you have the right to stop answering questions at any time. So this is voluntary. If you don't want to talk to us at any time, you can tell us you're done. You may stop answering questions at any time to speak to your attorney. You may have your attorney with you during any further questions. And you're not a child under 16. So do you understand what I read to you? Yes. Okay, so that's the advisement of your rights. So if you could just see this sign that just acknowledges that you were provided your rights, and then we'll go through the rest of it. So the rest of the Michelle is, now that you've been advised of your rights, we're going to ask you if you're willing to speak with us. That's the waiver of the rights. So if you're willing to sign or initial says, I waive these rights as indicated by placing my initials after one or more of the following statements. I wish to answer questions being fully aware of my rights as listed above. Are you willing to do that? Okay. Could you just put your initial, just that initial? The next one would be, I do not want to consult with an attorney or have an attorney present with me at this time. You have your attorney present. I understand my rights and I waive them freely and voluntarily with no threats or promises made to you. We're not threatening you or we're not promising you. We want to talk to you. And do you understand that? Yes. Okay. If you could just initial, just get this out. And you're a child, you're not a child under 16. Do you have any questions on any of those, Michelle? Okay. It does tend to get warm in here, so if you need a break, let us know. Just get it in there. It warms up real quick here, so if you're just take it off. Yes. If you want any. All right, so again, back last Friday, the Camp Police got a report of a missing person, Jennifer Dulos. She lives at 69 Wells Street, Wells Lane. They went over, officers went over, they couldn't raise anyone. They went into the house, they couldn't find anyone inside sick or injured. They observed evidence that was concerning about a possible crime scene. Buchanan police detectives responded, found evidence of a possible crime scene. We as the state police were called in to assist Buchanan police. We've been working on this case. It's now Sunday, the 2nd of June. We've been working on it straight since the 25th. I'm going to let you and your attorney know that we have located and documented a significant amount of evidence that there was a crime scene at 69 Wells Lane. And that it's our consensus that Jennifer is still missing, and we're very concerned about the fact that she may not be missing, she may be deceased. And that some portion of that assault, which resulted in her death, took place in that house or in that garage. So we want to talk to you. We understand that you're Fotis Dulos. Is it Fotis?
Right.
Yeah, that's your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. So you're Fotis' boyfriend, a girlfriend, he's your boyfriend, excuse me. We've been working on this. We've had a lot of people working on this case. We've come significantly far, and you are currently under arrest for tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution. That is something, those are crimes that we believe occurred after the initial crime. So we want to talk to you about what your knowledge is about the crime, what happened to Jennifer. We want to find Jennifer for her family. She has 5 children. All right. And right now they need to know what happened to their mother.
Yes.
You have a daughter.
Yes.
All right, so your daughter is actually the same age as Jennifer.
Yeah.
Right, and that family is being torn up right now. We want to bring we want them to know what happened to their mother. So we're hoping that you can help us find out what happened to Jennifer. All right. We also understand, having learned some things about Fotis, we understand that he has been described to us as a person who has a very strong personality and might have the tendency to control people and manipulate people. And it's certainly, we believe there's a possibility that he may be doing that to you, and that's how they have been doing that to you. And that's one reason that you guys are physically separated now and you are safe. And we are concerned for your safety. If you get out of here and he's out of here, we're worried about what might happen to you. We have no specific information, but we don't want anything bad to happen to you. And I know you don't want anything bad to happen. You have a mother.
I'm with you guys.
Okay. You have a mother, you have a daughter. We want you to be there for her.
Yes, there's already 5 children with no mother.
Right.
Let's not make it 6.
So we really need to know what you know and what you can do. Tell us to help us find what happened to Jennifer and where Jennifer is now. And that's basically what we're looking for. We do need truth. We do need details. We understand there may be some things that you could conceivably tell us that you may think would get you in trouble. As far as I'm concerned, we can deal with a lot of that stuff, whether or not your attorney would agree with it. He's here in case you say something that he doesn't want you to, but when there's a truthful statement, we can deal with it. If there's a statement where you distance yourself or you don't tell the complete truth, that becomes an issue. So we have a lot of information. We have done a lot of mapping. We have a lot of throughout Hartford where you guys are moving around. We have there's actually a lot of surveillance cameras. There's a lot of documentation that we have. So we know some of the stuff, but we're looking to you to help us fill things in. All right, are you willing to help us?
Yes.
Okay.
And just, keep in mind, we've looked into you as well. We know you're a good mom. We know you're a good mom. And you can look so wonderful from what you can offer us at the end of this. Because I know it's been tough for you in the media. Now's your time to shine. Now's your time to be that mom, to be that person. All right? I know it's been a rough week, but if they don't really understand or know about you, what we do. So
We've seen you at some of your worst moments, see the humanity in you, and we want people to know that it's there.
that's
There are probably people
I saw
out
it
there
the
now
other
that are,
I saw it the other night when you were having a hard time. Remember when we were doing the prints? I could see it, so we could feel it.
and we understand that you could be, I don't know what happened to you. I don't know how voters treated you. I don't know what happened to you. I don't know what told you. I know there's been, in the last week, there's been a significant change in your lifestyle, and there may be a downward trajectory for you. So you look shell-shocked, quite frankly, with me yesterday, because we were saying you're safe. You look like
What? I'm in shock.
you're in shock.
I'm not reacting.
Right.
I'm not.
And that's understandable. We understand that. We're here. If you have questions for us, we're happy to answer anything we can. But we're looking to you for guidance because we know part of we believes that you have information that can help us find Jennifer for the future. So what can you tell us?
Why don't you start with Friday?
With my day.
Yes.
Um,
This is the 24th.
Okay, thank you.
yeah. So usually I have that alarm set for 6:40 every day, but not Thursdays because Nicole goes to school on Thursdays. She gets in at 9 instead of 8. So from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and on Fridays, my alarm is always mine, and Nicole's alarm is always set at 6:40.
Okay, you live at 4 Jefferson Crossing.
Yes.
Okay, with Fotis and with Nicole.
Nicole.
Okay,
Yes.
and Nicole is 12.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So my normal day, the alarm sounds. Usually I'm in my room, she's in her room. She wakes up, she's very independent. She wakes up, I hear the shower turning on. That day I slept with her because on Thursday to Friday it was raining. There was thunderstorms.
Okay.
So she called me at 12:59
Mhm.
when she's scared and then have the phone next to my bed.
Right.
She called me. I answered, she said, I'm scared. And obviously, when she says that, I hang up and I go. I pick my phone and I go to her room. So I did that. So obviously, I woke up and I was with her in her bed.
Mhm.
The alarm sounds. I wake up and I go to our bedroom. I turn off my alarm that is snoozing after I wake up. Fotis wakes up too. when I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I get into the shower. I don't wet my head usually because usually I take a fast shower to take me going. Fotis jumps into the shower with me.
Just gonna pause it at 14:46:53. Detective, the defendant just indicated to you that Fotis Dulos woke up in her presence and hopped in the shower with her. Is that correct?
I'm going to object to his characterization of what was said. I don't believe that's what I heard, and it's a leading question on top of it.
Well, the video and the audio is able to be seen and heard by the jury. And the question, even though it may not have been a quote, was not misleading, even unless it's the word hopped that offends counsel.
No, it's, I heard that she said she went up to her daughter's room because of the thunder, the rain. I did not hear her say, it's up to the jury, but I didn't hear her say that she woke up with Fotis Dulos.
Well, the audio is clear. The jury heard the audio. What's going to overrule the objection?
Nor was that my question, incidentally. But, that's what she indicated to you, correct? That Fotis Dulos woke up in her presence and got in the shower with her, correct?
Yes,
Now, how many times did you interview the defendant?
total of 3 times.
On what dates did you interview the defendant?
This is the first interview, June 2nd, 2019. The second interview occurred June 6th, 2019, and the third interview occurred August 13th, 2019.
Throughout the course of those interviews, did the defendant always maintain that Fotis Dulos had woken up in her presence and gotten in the shower with her?
No,
When was the first time she indicated that that did not happen?
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to object that the video speaks for itself and allow him to editorialize and give opinions about what was said and when is improper. And I object to all of this because the video will speak for itself and he's being asked to give his opinion on what was said and when.
So the question is, was this story maintained throughout all of the interviews? The response was no. Overruled. Well, this is probably time for a natural break. It's about
Yes, Judge.
11:13. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take our morning recess now and resume at 11:30. Please do not disturb the
Could we just stay on the record for a minute, Your Honor?
Take shorthand. So whatever the jurors hear is what they hear. Just because there may be a mischaracterization, that can be objected to. That is, the mischaracterization can be objected to. But making sure that the state quotes exactly what is heard on the video is not a good use of time. The objections can be made concerning mischaracterization.
And Judge, I just want to be heard briefly also. So page 16 of the transcript of 201. Mr. Troconis, the alarm sound. I wake up and I go to our bedroom. Male. Mr. Troconis, I turn off my alarm and it's snoozing. And there's sort of clanking and audible 1356. Detective Kimball says, right. Mr. Troconis, A, Fotis wakes up too. Okay. So the idea that
Did
this
not
is
say in his presence. That's the concern I have.
Well, the court is going to call the jury in. If there's an objection as to mischaracterization, the court will hear the objection. The court did not hear the mischaracterization. So if that was the objection, that's overruled. And bring the jury in. Would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, Judge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning again.
Good morning. Again,
Detective Kimball, where we left off, I was asking you about this statement. You indicated that you had interviewed the defendant on 3 separate occasions. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Did the defendant always maintain her account during those 3 separate interviews that she showered with Fotis Dulos on the morning of May 24th, 2019?
She did not.
Judge, we're going to pick it back up at 1446:53.
5 minute shower. I get out, I shower, before I go usually to the bathroom, I go to pee, I have my period, and then have it, which is weird, I've had it like for more than 9 days. I guess the stress. So that is actually that's the first thing I do, then I shower. I usually put like light clothes, exercise clothes, leggings, or sweatpants, or a black sweater because it's been cold. I go down, when we go, I ask her what she wants to eat. She says usually it's an omelette with cheese or waffle. The day before, I peeled some oranges and carrots because she was gonna take for the school for a project, juices for 10 girls. So I go down, she helps me squeeze the oranges in the machine. I put it in a big thermal that we have, the whole juice. I don't know if her or me, we have our white cooler. I take the ice from the freezers down, I pour it in the cooler, and I put the thermal. Obviously, I didn't close it well, so at the end it spills, but not now. I do the omelette, she eats, and then we go to school. I grab normally the keys in the drawer where all the keys are.
What car are you driving to school?
The Cherokee. I work with the Cherokee. Yes.
What time do you leave for school?
Usually around in between 7:28 to 7:40 at the most. But that day we were like maybe probably 7:30, 7:35. But again, the neighbors have a camera in their house. You can check exactly. So that's why. Okay. I drive, I do my same circuit to go to the school and to my Edward Walker.
Okay.
She goes down. I give her a kiss. She closes the door and then I think, the cooler. So I put the window down. I say, Nicole, the cooler. She said, oh, I almost forgot. She opens the bag. And she takes the cooler, the cooler, she goes to the middle to the class or at school. And I go back, and usually I arrive around 8:15, 8:20. I'm normally in the house. And I arrive, I put my purse in the kitchen, like I always do, in the table or in the chair. I go up to the office. I was gonna do a coffee, I didn't. I don't remember if I did a coffee, I don't think so. Usually I do coffees every time after dropping cold with, sometimes with Fotis, sometimes without Fotis. I go up, Kent, the lawyer is there. They're talking the further, you've been in the house, no?
Just explain.
They're in the table down the office.
They, Kent and who?
And Fotis.
Kent and Fotis.
Just gonna pause the video at 14:51:03. You indicated that you interviewed the defendant 3 separate times. Did the defendant always maintain her account that Fotis Dulos was in the office?
She did not.
Thank you, sir. We'll pick it back up.
From my computer, then I look for Pabloni's, how do you say, documents of the house that are supposed to be a deal. I had to do some changes. I think Andy's another guy that works for this, I think, the day before he was there. I don't know. Yes. But I don't know. I think he made some changes. And then I go down, I grab my phone, and there's a message from Aaron, which is Hutch's wife, saying I left my purse because they were that night they had dinner on Thursday night. Aaron, Hutch, Stefan, and Beth and Fotis Nicolena. In the house outside, we cooked and we did like a barbecue and salad. And Fotis French fries and meat. I don't remember if I did a salad, a Greek salad, I don't know. So I texted and I said I can take it. I can take the purse because I'm going to the supermarket, so it's on the way. Then I think she said Hutch is going, or he can go. And I said, where should I drop it? And I can go to like your house or to the warehouse. I don't know. I saw it on my phone, my text, so I can see. So I took a picture, I sent it. It was in the high chairs in the corner where the breakfast table is. I grabbed the purse, I grab mine, I get in the car, and I go to the warehouse, which is.
The chief again.
Yes.
And what time is this?
This probably was like around, if I chatted with her like around 9, it must have probably taken me like 10 minutes to get there out of 44, and then I turn where there's a concession car in the corner for the Capo restaurant. You turn and I go to the Avon self-storage that is owned by Hutch. I go in, I see the secretary, I said, I'm coming to leave Aaron's purse. Obviously I jumped she has a desk on the further right. So he stand up, he said hi. I give him the purse and say thank you, we had a nice time, it was great, come. And that's about it. I get in the car and I go to the supermarket. Stop and shop. That's the one that is where they have like a Bed Bath and Beyond. There's like a movies. There's a Home Goods.
There's an Avon?
I think that's in
Simsbury?
I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, the times they changed.
Pretty clear.
Pero bueno, I have the receipts, I mean, they're probably in my purse. I go in the supermarket, I grab the card, and I basically went to buy a parsley, so I got 2 parsleys, because I was gonna make something that Nicole likes, that's canelones with spinach. I had it like a previous week or maybe 3 days before she wanted that, so I had the ingredients. I just mixed the parsley for the tomato paste. I found a robot that's walking, and I found it funny for Nicole. So I took a picture with the robot, I filmed the robot, and I, like in the video, it says, look, Nicole, the robot, you ask what you want, or it takes, they're like a joke. You see our text, we're always joking, we see a field, a Volkswagen car, I take a picture and I say, punch buggy. We have the family, they laugh, and my sister then makes a comment, I go and does it, because when I took a picture, there's a label, and she obviously zoomed the label, and it says that, because in the video I said, look, Nicole, she takes you wherever you want to pick up the food, but it was like a joke, and we really don't know what that robot does. If you see the chats, they start making fun. Oh wow, what incredible! How good for the stupid robot. I send it also to Beto. It's like a joke. I'm all the time making stupid jokes. That's my personality. When I pay, I go to the house. I put everything away.
What time do you think you got back to the house?
Probably between maybe 10:30 at the most, because in the way I spoke with Beto, my friend, her real name is Clara. She was giving me that after that night at around 7 more or less, from Boston to England. I talk with her every day. Usually we stop in dorms and we have a coffee or a breakfast, or I go to her shop. And because I gave her some frogs, she sold some frogs, so she needs to give me some money. And she says, well, why don't we meet at 11 in the shop? It's called a Lighthouse Concepts and Design Store. It's in Simsbury, where all the old brick construction. And I think there's a pub called Red.
And you're meeting who there?
Beto, my friend, her real name is Clara. So she said that I'm just gonna stop by for a little bit, because then she was heading to the airport. I get there.
Can I go back to when you were at the house dropping off the groceries?
Yeah.
Was anybody at the house besides you that you saw? Was Fotis home?
I didn't see, but the car was there.
Which car?
The Suburban.
The Suburban was at the house?
Yes.
Okay, the Raptor at the house, the pickup truck?
No.
No? Okay, and who normally drives the pickup truck?
Between me and Farber, or sometimes Fotis, but the way they have it, or what Fotis has a plan, is that not put so many mileage in the cars. Farber usually takes the Jeep, and I'm in between the Raptor and the Suburban.
Okay, so let me so you have normally the cars are the Raptor, Suburban,
and a Cherokee.
and you're normally.
I drive the 3. No, I don't have like a line that's mine. It's like we all use the 3.
Okay.
But Farber doesn't use the Suburban. He's always in between the Raptor and the Cherokee. The Suburban, for sure, when Fotis has the kids, he uses it because it's the only car.
Was Pavel in the house early in the morning when you saw Ken and Fotis?
No,
No, was, when you left to take Nicole to school, was the Raptor at the house or was it drunk?
well, in the rock, there's only two garage on one side and two on the other. So if the Raptor was there, it was on the other side.
So you don't know if it was there?
No, because I don't go into the two garage, I just go into one.
Okay, but the Suburban was there.
Yes,
Okay, so when you took Nicole to school, the Suburban was there
yes,
at the house.
yes.
Okay.
So the way it works for not to do mileage in the car, usually the rent takes the charity, but when they have to carry, I don't know, construction things, or sometimes they order like the mirrors, lamps, and they arrive in Fort Jefferson. That takes the pickup to drop the things. And I grab whatever, like really, there's no time. So, where was I?
You were 11 concept, you were at 11 going to be there.
When, yes, around 11:10. I meet there, she said, oh, I'm late, I told her I can give you cash, I can go to the ATM. I said, no, I'd rather have a check because it's from the company. So I said, well, okay, don't worry. She said, can you send me the invoice? And I said, well, so I opened my computer, I typed the raws that I have to do like an invoice. I sent that email, but the Wi-Fi doesn't work, so it stays like in that it wasn't sent. So when I say, have a nice trip, we'll talk later, blah, 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 I get into the car, and I drive to the house. And usually I open my computer. I spend a lot of eating around like 12 for sure I was in the house.
Okay. Was anyone else at the house? At noon?
Yeah, I mean, I had lunch with Fotis, but no, later, not immediately. Usually I go up to the house room, that's the place where I spend the most time my day, when I'm in the house.
So just to be clear, Michelle, when you got back to the house, as late as noon?
It's what?
So is it as late as noon? Noon or earlier, or noon,
Yeah,
around noon?
about noon.
Was Fotis there when you came back home or no?
Well, he probably can be because he has the office on top. I mean, I didn't look for
Did
him.
you notice if the Raptor was around? You guys park in the garage or you park out the driveway?
No, I always park inside, and Fotis parks
The left or the right?
Well, depending on the car, usually the Raptor goes on the left because it's uncomfortable to get in the house, and the Suburban goes, but when the Raptor is not there, then the Suburban goes on the left and the Cherokee. I mean, it's just for a thing of the door that is easy.
So
The office is at the old way at the end of the house.
in the downstairs or the upstairs?
The office.
The office.
No, I'm upstairs, and you can go to there's some stairs in the mudroom,
Okay,
or you can come from outside the house.
Okay. So you're up in Nicole's room and you hear Fotis call out
I don't know what I didn't tell you. At some point in the morning, I pick up the garbage outside. There are two red garbage cans because it was Friday. That I forgot.
Shoot.
But
They
that,
emptied the driveway and brought it down.
yeah, that was like at 9. That I didn't say. Because that I remember now. I brought that two garbage in. So we ate pastel de papa, and it was like a fruit, very typical Argentinian. It's like you call it the shepherd pie, something like
Shepherd's pie?
something similar. Leftovers from probably the day before or the day of 2 days, but not later than that. And then usually we eat, I wash the dishes, I put it, Fotis goes back to wherever he does. And
Back to his office?
yeah, I mean, he walks around a lot around the house, but if not, he's in the office all day, or he goes in and out for, I don't know. He says that he goes to the bank, or to the sites, I don't know. So when I finished eating, probably went back again. Oh, I'm always in the computer.
Where does the computer use? Up in the cold room or
It's a laptop. I carry with me up and down wherever I am.
you're on the second?
Yes,
Are there 2 floors?
yes. But no, and there's a third and there's a basement.
Right, so there's a third, dormers. Looking at the roof.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That's where it has theater and Constantine room and like a guest room with a bathroom. Then we have like a little storage closet where we keep a lot of our sports, like our bags for snow skiing, wetsuits, and life jackets, my riding boots. And then there's like 2 other sports, and then there's like an elevator. And you should go like to that one. So
Where does Fotis go after lunch? He said walks around or
no, he goes back to it. Sometimes he eats in the office, like he grabs
but
something.
you guys ate lunch that together?
Yes. And there was around maybe 1 that we ate lunch.
Okay. So I just I'm still not understanding, when you came home, do you know whether Fotis was home? When you came home at noon,
No, because I don't know. When I assume he's in the office, I go with because I don't have like a guarantee. It's not what I saw anymore.
and you don't know whether the Raptor was there when you came home at noon?
If it was in the other garage, not,
So
but
when you came home at noon, you didn't see the Raptor? Okay.
I think because Pavel drove the Raptor, and so Pavel was in that car, supposedly.
Do you know from when?
No, because he sometimes takes it overnight, he sometimes comes in the morning, picks it up. He always comes there. I usually never see him. Unless if I keep my key inside my purse, like he says I need it, but that's like rare.
Okay, so Michelle, when you came home, you went up to Nicole's room?
Yes, usually, the places that I hang out in the house is Nicole's room, because I have the charger there, and I like that room. In the kitchen, in the chair, in the last chair of the counter table, because I put the plugs for the charger for the computer, or the phone in some cases.
But on that particular Friday, you were up in Nicole's room?
Yes.
And then you hear Fotis call up, say, let's have lunch?
Yes.
And then you have lunch somewhere around.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question again is, when you heard Fotis call out, let's have lunch, where was he calling from? Was he?
It was like from my head.
Inside the house?
No, yes, inside
Okay,
the
was
house.
he upstairs or downstairs?
No, downstairs. Downstairs. I stand up and he was standing there. So usually I go.
So where was he staying, downstairs or something?
Yes, upstairs.
He says, hey, let's have lunch.
Yes.
All right. So, do you know how he came to be at the bottom of the stairs? I'm trying to find out if he was home or he was just coming home at 1 o'clock and saying, hey, let's have lunch. Okay.
Because there's stairs, there's the door, the
Big house.
door. Yes.
All right.
I got to follow every moment.
Okay.
Well, around 1 or 2.
Around
I don't know.
Okay, so 1 or 2. So he
I
was,
heated the food every 5 times.
so were you saying, Michelle, that as late as 2 o'clock, Fotis was saying, hey, let's have lunch, or,
Between that time.
okay.
But I mean, again, I cannot say.
No, we're trying, if you don't know, that's fine, I'm just trying to narrow
Say
it.
something, oh, you said wine was
No, we're not, do the best you can, that's all. Okay,
And like really, I usually have my phone a lot and I'm either chatting, so through chat, Nicole calls me a lot from school, we do a lot of FaceTime. I believe we did. She texted me saying, Mommy, we couldn't have the juice because it's spilled. So that text is there. I think I sent it.
So as I was like, just try to recall as best you can, because you don't have your phone with you.
right,
So just go ahead.
Then, when I pretty much usually when we eat, I put everything in the dishwasher. I mean, I rinse, I put in dishwasher, or if it's too big, sometimes I just put it, I lie paper towel and I put paper.
do we have absolutely?
Then, at some point, Fotis calls me.
You were on the phone or calls?
Yes, no, we use a lot of phone. The house is big. He calls me and he says we have to go to 80 Mountain to clean the house because tomorrow Rania is coming with some clients. We have a meeting, I think the meeting was at 9 or 10 that we met with them on Saturday morning. But because of the situation, we didn't go to show the house, so Fotis gave Rania, but this is Saturday, I'm kind of,
Okay.
but anyway.
So 80 Mountains, 80 Mountain Spring in Avon, that's a property owned by the Ford Group.
That he rebuilt, it's an old house that was like 100 years and he rebuilt it.
Beautiful house, seen it.
Yes, it's a,
This is a big property too, right?
yes.
2 acres.
Yeah, but it's separated with 2 lots
Right, it's 80, 84, 88.
and he,
84, 88, it's a street property.
yes, it was the same lot, but he subdivided it.
Okay.
I don't know that word.
Sure.
Pavlonis that we met on Thursday with the husband, they bought for 88, and that's what we've been looking at the drawings lately. I have to bring all the cleaning material to clean the house because the house was a mess.
At 80.
Yeah, but I mean,
He called you, Fotis called you, so you have to put 80 Mountain Spring to clean, is that so what you're saying?
yes.
Okay.
What kind of cleaning materials did you bring?
Well, I brought vacuum that doesn't work there because it doesn't have the central.
Okay.
I brought the thing to clean like this, Swift. It's a yellow thing with a stick. Paper towels. One of those Clorox spray.
Clorox,
I don't know Clorox, so I buy usually Clorox, Swift, whatever I find in the house. Garbage bags. So I kind of started cleaning the kitchen, but it's like, okay, this is impossible.
What time did you go? And then what vehicle did you travel in? And who was with you?
I travel alone in the Cherokee.
And
Another thing that I didn't tell you, somewhere around noon, I speak with another store called Hitchrock, I don't know. It's in Camden, in the shops of Camden, that they have a Ben & Jerry, Barnes & Noble. It's in a corner, so it's a furniture store.
okay.
I was there earlier in the week and I
So
left.
just on the phone? You call each other furniture?
Yes, because I left them some furniture and some rocks and I haven't heard from them. And when I spoke with the lady says, I haven't seen the rocks. I don't know where they are. Where did you leave them? I said, I left them with the manager and my girlfriend, which I had at least a 15 minutes conversation when I left the rocks earlier in the week about Argentinian food, how to do chimichurri. So she's like, oh, I cannot see the rocks. And I remember I left them there and they told me that they weren't gonna put it in the storage and wait for Richard, the owner, to see the rocks. She's like, oh, I'm the wife. I haven't seen the rocks, but let me find them and I'll give you a call. That I don't remember if that was Thursday or Friday.
Let's go.
Okay, no, because
Yeah, that becomes important, okay,
yes.
for later. But let's just stay when you're at 80, okay? So why don't you just finish telling me?
If we could go back to how you got there, what car you took,
I took the Cherokee.
at what time?
That's probably around between 2:15, let's say, or 2:30 and 3.
Okay.
I go back to the house.
Does anyone else travel there at the same time that you're with, or no?
So he took the Suburban.
So this was just suburban? Did
Yes.
you drive with each other, or did you go separately?
No, we were separating.
Okay, did you leave around the same time as you?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
I'm confused, where is taking photos taking the suburban to? Does he also go to 80 Mountain? Or is he going somewhere else?
Yes,
So both of you go to 80 Mountain,
yes,
separate vehicles at about the same time?
yes, but he arrives earlier, first than me.
You're arriving around 2:15? Between 2:15, 2:30, and photos is already there?
2:30 and, yes. And, I take all the things out, I put them in the kitchen. I think Fotis or I figure out that the vacuum doesn't work because it's kind of and I didn't know. So I go back to the house with the vacuum that was in the second floor, sorry. And I get the broom and the shovel for the broom, but the broom is like this, ridiculous. I cannot clean.
Can I ask a question? Is Pablo there?
No,
No?
no,
So he and the Raptor are not there?
no.
Okay.
What is photos doing when he's at 80 Mountain? What is doing? You're cleaning inside the house?
I'm clean nothing because I'm not gonna, it's like this huge house, I'm not gonna be able to clean it with a broom like this.
Right, so you're cleaning inside the house, what is photos?
He went in and he was okay, we'll clean, and I'm like, oh, but I have to pick up Nicole at 3:30. I forgot that and then I'm like, no, wait, I don't have to pick her up at 3:30 because she had a show and we had the night. But usually I'm so used to picking her up at 3:30 that I said, no, I have to go pick her.
Let me just tell you an item of fact that we know is that Fotis' phone was on the property of 80 Mountain Spring Road between 1:37 and 3:38.
Okay, man,
Okay.
because he called me saying,
What's he
sometimes
saying what?
to clean any amount.
To bring, meaning he was already there?
No. He called me and he was. No, yes, he
So
was.
he was already, when he called you to
Yes.
bring the cleaning supplies
Yes.
at 80 Mountain?
Yes, but I don't know why at some point.
Okay, I just wanna go back and please don't. The way you explained it previously was that he called you from inside the house you were at, but now you're saying he was actually,
Well, that's that part I don't know.
Okay.
Like he called me saying bring cleaning stuff
so he wanted you to bring cleaning stuff and
to clean the house.
so now your understanding was he was already at 80 Mountain when he called you?
Yes, he probably was, or he was in the house, that's what I don't know.
So you can't confirm one way or the other where Fotis was, just that he.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Please like and subscribe.
Maybe I am misunderstanding you, Michelle, but I believe you said that Fotis called you, and you drove in the Cherokee, and he drove in the Suburban, and you drove together to 80 Mountain. Is that what happened, or was he
No,
already there?
no, he was with the Suburban,
Oh,
and he
he was
drove
already
separately.
there.
Yes,
So when you drove the Cherokee to 80 Mountain, and he was already at 80 Mountain, is that correct?
yes,
Okay. Do you know when he got there?
no,
Okay. We did, I'm just asking if you do. Okay.
I mean, I'm giving you how.
I know, and I'm not trying to trick you, I'm trying to understand. Yeah, we're not trying to trick you up.
Again, I don't know exactly, I'm not like with the phone looking.
That's fine, but I thought you guys were traveling together, it turns out he calls you, get the supplies, come to eat, and we have to clean, you drive to Cherokee, and he's already there in the Suburban. So when you arrive at 80 Mountain, where is he, where is the Suburban, what's going on when you first arrive?
Usually we go in the back where the.
But on that day, well, not, right, so just listen, on that Friday, when you arrived on the 80 Mountain driving the Cherokee,
Yes,
what was going on when you first arrived? Did you see the Suburban?
yes,
Or was
in the back where the garage is, in the space.
it no review now?
Where's he? No, I can draw it to you.
Okay, do you recognize this? This is the north-south, I'm not sure what street this is.
He doesn't have these trees. No, this is not the property.
No?
This is.
The road's kind of hard to see because of the tree cover,
Yeah,
so it might be a little
but
confusing.
this.
Just pausing the video at 15:22:01. Detective Kimball, you're showing the defendant something here, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
What are you showing her?
We're showing her a Google map overview image of 80 Mountain Spring Road.
Thank you, sir. We'll keep playing it.
All right, so,
What is this?
all right, don't mark it. She can't, okay, she can't.
This is an old, isn't this where the tennis court used to be of that house?
All right, this may be, I'm not sure how outdated this is.
Because these trees don't exist.
Okay,
This
that's
is
fine.
open.
So when you, that's all right, I don't wanna confuse you, that's why I'm trying to take this away.
Bueno, until you drive inside the property, the road comes opposite, is like a turn, the house is here. The garage looks like, let's say, to this place, it has a turn, and that's an area that the cars turn around
So when you arrive at 80 Mountain, the Suburban is
in
the
the,
back,
they
is it
have.
behind the house, beside the house, in the
Yes.
house?
Bueno, there's 4 garage in that house.
I'm just thinking, sure.
It's like a square, let's say, and the Suburban is parked, like parallel to the garage.
What's going on with the Suburban, is it just parked there?
Yeah,
All right, where's Fotis?
in the garage,
The garage door is open?
the first left, the garage door is open. I bring the stuff to the kitchen.
What's he doing? Do you know?
Who Fotis?
Folks, when you get there.
Nothing, he was like kind of like walking from the kitchen to the garage.
Do you remember what he was wearing?
Jeans, he always wears the same jeans, I think he only has 2 pairs of jeans. And he just recently bought a black pair of jeans, which is weird to see him in black jeans, but I don't know.
So he was in the black jeans?
No, blue jeans. You guys are the same.
All right, so what about his shirt?
He had a light shirt, I believe it was light blue. At some point he has a sweater,
Okay,
but I don't know if he took it, I mean, that part, I don't know if he took it off and hide it.
all right, I'm just trying to find out. All right, so he's there, you don't know when he got there, you get there between 2:15 and 2:30, and Fotis is there.
Well, it can be a little bit 2:30, I mean,
Okay. All right,
let's say 2:03, and I say I have to pick up and go.
okay, so you have to leave at 3 to pick up the phone?
Yes, but then I forget, and in my head I'm like, oh no, wait, I don't have to pick her up because she's staying for this Chicago show. I go back to the house with a vacuum and I bring the broom.
To Jefferson?
Yes, and I take the Suburban because the way I park, I don't know, I take the Suburban first. And I go to Fort Jefferson.
This is at 3?
Yes,
Around 3?
yes.
So 3 o'clock, you drive the Suburban back to Jefferson to pick up the vacuum?
No, to drop off the vacuum and pick up the broom.
Okay, and then you come back to 80 miles per hour?
Yes.
All right.
How long is it
I
take?
drink water in the house.
That's okay, how long is the travel time
No,
between?
nothing, like 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
It's very close. I mean, I've done it in anytime.
All right. All right, so you're back now at 80 miles per hour. And what's Fotis doing? Inside the house or outside?
No, he was, I think, talking on the phone out in the where the cars are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Who's he talking to, you know?
no.
All right. Okay.
Then, but I stayed a little bit, so I probably went to that to 80 mountain. And I should have gotten there back. Maybe like, I don't know, 3:40, no, 4.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't leave right away. I stayed in the house a little bit. And I remember drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I was talking in the phone with someone.
All right, so you come back, and what do you start cleaning? You continue to clean?
No, I kind of gave up with that because the house is too big on my end. You have to bring someone. We used to bring Lupita, which was a lady on high,
Mm-hmm.
and she stopped, and then Renata, which is the one that we have now, she has helped in the past, and she actually went to clean like Friday. She was there this Friday, two days ago, because she went to the house, she cleaned the sheets, and then Fotis said go to 80 Mountains and clean. So,
Can I ask why you didn't have to pick up your phone? Did she go in?
because she stayed in school, I completely forgot, she had a school show called Chicago.
Okay, oh, so they're doing like a play?
Yes, I mean, I played for the school, not like professional.
Okay, so.
And that was like a set, okay.
Okay. So you can continue.
So, there Pavel arrives.
All right, wait a minute. We're at 80 Mountain.
Yes,
Okay, and you think it's what time?
for something.
Okay, when did you go out to Hitchcock? You were gonna go to Hitchcock to.
Yeah, that's at 5:17.
That's after this?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Pavel arrives?
Yes,
Okay,
with the pickup.
I think around 4 o'clock.
More or less, I mean, 4:30, 4:15, that I don't know. I think I talked to my dad at some point in between those times.
Pavel alone?
Yes, he's alone. in the Raptor, that's why I know he had the Raptor. And then I said, you know, I have to go because I have to pick up my rocks in Canada. So I'm driving, now it's like 5:17, I don't know. I start driving.
Before you go into that, just something, when Pablo arrived, did you see him?
Yes.
What kind of clothes was he wearing? Do you recall?
No, again, I don't know. You guys were always jeans.
You're not kidding, right? What about you? What did you wear that day?
In the morning, for sure, like, because that's like my routine, it's like exercise clothes. Usually it's I have a black Adidas like sweatpants with 2 gold lines.
And you changed?
And usually I change after leaving Nicole. I don't have a routine. Sometimes I go like jogging.
So after Nicole, when you're over at 80 Mountain Road for the remainder of the day, what are you wearing?
I was with a black shirt, my camouflage pants.
Okay, anything else?
And I don't know if I had a sweater or the jacket.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry to run you back, but continue where you were about to go.
Okay. So I get in the car and I talk again to this woman, Barbara, the owner of the store. Yes. Well, I'm not sure the name is HR, then you have to Google. But the name is in my phone, the number.
That's fine, this is around what time?
Around like 5:17. Because I remember I wrote the calls, and that's what we found out was. And the lady says, because we're running down slow on people, usually we close at 6, but we might close at 5:30. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna make it. I'm still, and it takes me to get to Canton at least 20 minutes, and why I'm gonna drive there. And she said, don't worry, we're gonna be open tomorrow. I started at 11. And I'm like, okay, if I don't make it, then I go tomorrow. Okay. I turn around at the end of the airfield, and I go to the house. Abel and Fotis are in the house, in the outside, in the garage.
Which house?
For Jefferson.
On Jefferson Street.
Yes.
During the course of the day, does Fotis wear a hat, or is he just without a hat? Like a ball cap or anything?
No.
No, not at all. Does he wear a ball cap?
No, he does, but
on that day, no? Okay.
No, he wear it later, but not.
Okay, but up until that point, no. But later on in the day, he does wear a hat. Okay, I don't want to get you ahead, I'm just.
How about the photos are in the garage? What
Not
time
in
do
the
you?
garage outside where we usually, like in that piece of grass of the garage, outside the garage.
What time do you think you get back to?
No, nothing, like at 5:20.
And this is Jefferson.
Yes.
Okay, so they're on the grass outside your house?
Have you been in the house, huh?
No. I've seen pictures of it. I
When
haven't.
it's the garage, it's all paved, and there's a piece of like grass and paved, because it has grass.
Okay.
So, we were
Okay.
there. And I parked the car inside, the Cherokee.
All right, so let me just stop you. When you drive Cherokee and Pablo,
Okay.
Pablo and Fotis are there, so that means the Raptor and Suburban are there?
Yes.
Okay, so all the cars are there when you arrive, and they're on the grass, this
The
south side.
outside of the
What are
garage.
they doing?
I don't know, I'm talking, I don't know.
Okay, so they're just standing there talking?
Yeah, I know, and Pavel was turning on his motor. He left his motorcycle.
Okay,
Bueno, It's funny because that motor used to be mine and I sold it to him a year ago.
You want that? I'm just kidding.
So,
Okay, that's very
and
good.
then I went inside the house
Mm-hmm.
and, so I'm hanging there, I don't know,
And Sarah,
Defendant ever tell you that Pavel's Gumieni's Toyota was located at 80 Mountain Spring Road
No.
on May 24, 2019?
No.
At some point, you indicated that you interviewed her on separate occasions. Did she indicate to you that his vehicle was at 80 Mountain Spring Road?
Yes, she did.
And you know what kind of Toyota it is it old or new?
it looks old, we destroyed, and it's very dirty inside.
Old,
Like when
great. He had to get a Connecticut license plate. You know?
yes, it was in Connecticut.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You know who's listening?
We do.
Governor recently.
Yes.
Fotis has a friend named Mark that's very wealthy.
Yes, Marcelo.
Did you? And he feels that you.
I mean, is
Or at 10 o'clock.